Hello, welcome back. I thought I would just make a video. I tried to do a Q&A post and I did get a few questions, so I might answer those and then I might just give like some updates or I've been very nervous to make videos because like I feel this nervousness about like letting people down now that people support me. I don't know, it's weird, but I want to not feel so scared to post, and I've got to answer these questions anyways. These are from, and I'm just doing them in order for my post. Nima. My questions are, how do you know when to end a track? I don't know. But I think I get to a point with all of my tracks. It's like a multi-pronged thing where I feel like if I try to do more to it, I'm making it worse. And the other thing is that I just feel like I've reached a sense of completion. Like I just want to let it go and I just want to move on. And sometimes I'll still have a list of things I want to like improve about the mix, especially because I don't really know how to mix. I kind of just mix as I go. And I do everything by myself. So yeah, I guess I just get to that point where I just feel like I can't make it any better. And I'm sorry if that's like a anticlimactic answer, but I think that is when you know you've reached that stopping point. It's been enough. You've done as much as you can do with this track. What is the process of performing your songs live? I actually want to make a video about this, of like me preparing for a show. It's been a very arduous process, honestly. Like I make music in a lot of different genres. Like sometimes I make electronic music. Sometimes I make guitar-driven music that sounds more like a band. And then sometimes I make just straight up drone, ambient, tape manipulation stuff. And it's taken a while to know how to know what to do for a live set. And the place I'm at now, which I'm sure will change, is that I have a 4-track tape machine and it has a pitch knob, and I use that as kind of like a performance tool, as like I'll load up some like ambient like synth stuff on there and I'll use that as kind of like my backing track, and then I have a vocal looper and vocal reverb and a guitar. And so I'll either have songs that I play by my like on guitar and I'm singing over them, or I have songs that I sing and loop vocals over my 4-track. And then I also have a Mother 32 Moog synthesizer, and that is like my instrument when I like sing over my 4-track stuff. So it's a very, like there is a lot to it, but it is a very minimal setup because I think adding more to it now will just make me more nervous to play. I don't perform live a lot. I have a lot of stage fright, and I feel like I'm still not 100% with my live set like where I want it to be. But it's like, I think if I wanted to take it further, it would mean leveling up a lot of things or getting other people involved, which I'm not ready to do at this point. So that's kind of where I'm at now. This is all still from the same person, so unless I say a name, it's like the same person. Is there an instrument that you like that you haven't learned? And yes, there are a lot of instruments I want to learn that I might never get to. One is the cello, the other one's the auto harp. I'm just really interested in like lap harps and steel harps right now. Like I have a very simple Russian lap harp, and that is very unique sonically. And once I came across like a eBay post of like a Hungarian zither, and it looks so hard to play, but it was so beautiful, and it was only like a few $100s, and I was just so tempted to get it. But yeah, I'm really interested in instruments like that. Like one of my dreams is to like maybe travel to like foreign countries and find different like, also like, oh god, what's like the Turkish one? It's not a mandolin. Oh, the oud. Oud? I don't know how you say that, but again, that's like another thing that's like I feel like it would be so complex to play. And part of me also wants to learn how to play drums, but I live in an apartment and there's no way I can never have a drum set, I think, unless I like buy a house and have a basement. And that's also another one of my dreams, is to like move to the Midwest or something. Houses in Texas don't have basements. So yeah, that's like a dream of mine, to have a basement and turn it into a studio. But anyway, what's your guilty pleasure song, or a song that people are surprised that you like? Honestly, like, I don't believe in guilty pleasures, but I feel like people might, like, I do feel a little bit embarrassed when I like pop music, especially like recent pop music. Like I have enjoyed some songs off of Addison Rae's new album. I don't know, I just find it very dreamy and fun, and the lyrics are a mess, but it's like maybe people would be surprised that I enjoy that, but I don't feel like guilty for listening to that, you know? Same thing with like Billie Eilish, I guess. It's like I liked her, I didn't really like her first couple albums, but her newest one I think hit at a lot of like sonic things that I enjoy in music. Like I think I do just enjoy a really well produced pop record, and I'm not ashamed to say it, but I will say a lot of pop music is not great, but it's just sometimes it hits, you know? So, and then they said, I enjoy listening to your song Asleep and The Knife. Asleep is very soothing and angelic to me, and The Knife, along with the visuals, are sick. And thank you for enjoying and listening to those songs. Asleep especially is very special to me. I really love that song, and performing live. Ooh, this one's heavy. Maybe I should skip it or come back to it. No. Either Pavillon, that's a cool name, asked, one of the elephants in our human music room. Human music room? Oh, like like the music is a room and the elephant. Okay. Is AI. I scroll YouTube Shorts feeds to see what's new, and every other music video these days seems to be a piece of AI generated music fakery. And you go to the comment sections and people think that it's real. What? The speed at which AI music is improving scares the hell out of me. I laughed at the obvious fakeness of it a year ago, laughing a bit less this year. By next year, I likely won't be laughing at all. What are your thoughts as a real human artist and musician? Yes, I am human, but I'm also part alien, let's face it. AI is just so loaded. It's so loaded. Like, I don't know, honestly, what to make of it. Because on one part, it is an emerging technology. Like, it's very new. It's very new. So I don't think we even have scratched the surface of what it's capable of yet. Just to put it in crude terms, like, if you type in a prompt and Suno or whatever spits out a song for you, I don't think you can say that that's your song. And I'm sorry if that's offensive or something, but it's just like, let's actually call it what it is. It is a different process than learning music production and putting it together yourself in that way. Even if you're like putting GarageBand loops together, that is still more involved than like writing a prompt. And there's like people are like, well, you can get really creative with the way that you type the prompts and stuff. And it's like, then you're an AI prompt generator. Like it's just different. And I honestly don't get the point of, like, I could see it being interesting where it's like you use it as a way to sample, and like you just get it to like spit out really weird stuff for you to like resample and integrate into your music. But for the whole thing to be, for you to claim the whole thing as your own when you had no involvement in like each part, I just don't think you can call that. I don't think you can call yourself a musician if you do that. And I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing. I just think it's different from making your own songs. And I guess there's some sketchy aspects where I'm aware of it too. Like when I put my music on Spotify, it's likely being scraped by AI. For that reason, it makes me uncomfortable to release music in a way. I think we're still seeing what's happening. I'm not the type of person that's gonna sit down and enjoy things that are made by AI. Like, I do really appreciate human artists. And I think that's part of what interests me about like being vulnerable online, is when you know something comes from a real human person and they show you their process. Like, I think that's going to be more important as AI and real humans like become indistinguishable in the ethernet. Not ethernet, but the ether. I don't know. I think with these things is like, just use your discernment. And my discernment is like, I'm not interested in that facet of AI. I'm interested in what it can do in terms of like increasing our cognitive potential or capacity for learning or capacity for research. It's just lame to call yourself an artist if you're not really getting in there and getting your hands dirty. Like, I think that's so important. I think I'll just move on from that. Aaron, Rin. I'd be interested in hearing your creative process. What inspires you? Thoughts on making music alone versus collaborating with other musicians? Do you perform live or have any desire to do so? What inspires me? I don't know. Well, I kind of feel like a sponge in the sense of like all of my experiences are like being absorbed in some way. And I'm just like, I feel like I get to a point where I can't hold the water in anymore. That's a weird way to put it. But it's like now I'm fully, it's almost like it gets to a point where it's painful and I'm just like, I need to let it out. So I'm not very consistent with my creative practice, and I used to fear that, but now I'm just like, I see that in the times that I'm not like constantly producing music, I'm always listening to music, I'm always watching films, I'm thinking and processing. So I think that is a big part of what inspires me, is just this like process of absorption. And then I feel like I generate something from the things that I absorb. And I don't know, I try to keep it very organic in that sense. Like, I try not to force myself. I used to force myself to do a lot more in the past. And I got really burned out from doing that. So now I'm like, I try to keep a healthy balance and just let myself rest when I need to rest, because I don't know, the world is enough pressures in it for me to put more pressure on something that like brings me joy. Thoughts on making music alone versus collaborating with others? I only really make music alone, so I don't have any thoughts on others or collaborating with others. I would like to at some point, but I also feel like I'm a very singular individual. Like, I'm an only child, and I just, when it comes to making music, I feel like I don't want someone, like, I feel like it's kind of like my painting, and I don't want someone else's brushstrokes on it. And I have tried to be different from that, but I think that is where I'm at right now, and I would like to collaborate with others in the future, because I think I could maybe grow from that. I think it can be difficult to motivate yourself and to grow in isolation. So I know that's something I'm trying to work on in general, is just putting myself out there more, socializing, isolating less. this channel is maybe part of that, but I'm just so comfortable on my own. I'm so comfortable in my own silence. I could spend weeks just absorbed in my own thoughts and I don't need to speak to anybody. And I don't know, I just find a lot of comfort in solitude. So, do you perform live or have any desire to do so? Yes, I perform live and I like to perform live more, but I will admit I prefer producing music. I prefer writing and producing new music than always performing live necessarily. I'm just going to say DaveMan21. Hi, I'd love to know, how has making music changed the way you listen to other artists? I think sometimes there's many aspects, whether it be of music creation or the music industry, that are overlooked, but once you get into that world, you get like a bigger picture. Has that been the case with you? Yes. It's interesting because I was a music fan, like a big music fan, before I became a musician. So I listened to music for many years and I had a really good idea of what I wanted to sound like as soon as I started making music. And that kind of made the process even more intimidating because I had so much respect for the artists I looked up to. And now that I've gotten to a point where I've been at it for years and I've learned a lot of intricacies of the process, it has most definitely changed the way I listen to music. I think my standards have been raised a lot, and I think I have a greater appreciation for the nuances of a production. My taste has gotten weirder and more experimental because I find myself more bored by like the simple things. I've always kind of been like that, but I think now it's even more amplified where it's like I find myself listening to weirder and more extreme stuff in a way, or like more technically complex stuff that when I was younger I couldn't really get into, and then now I kind of like get it. I think some of that is also maturity. I've definitely noticed it happen more heavily with music, is like I've almost have like an increased literacy and awareness of it, and I have a pretty strong idea of what I like and I don't like, both in my own music and what I listen to. So it can be hard for me to get into a new record right away because I kind of like, my tastes feel very like set in stone in a way. But yeah, I think I've noticed like my standards are higher, but I think that's kind of a good thing. Mute Circle. How do you find the difference between recording music and playing live? I've mainly recorded and produced and only played live a couple times myself. And I always think of it as being a totally different art form that I have to get my head around, which I imagine is more commonplace for solo electronic acts than, say, rock musicians and people in bands. Yeah, that is something like I've realized too. Like, it is really different playing live than like being a bedroom producer or home tinker or whatever. And that has been a big struggle for me, but it's also been an interesting challenge. I think there is a pretty big gap between producing and performing live if you are making non-traditional music. I guess like if you're in a band or you make more traditional music where you're like a singer-songwriter with a guitar, which that's part of my thing too, but it's like once you get into like electronic music, ambient music, there can be so many moving parts because like for me, a lot of my sound is manipulating sounds and like it's not, I can't get to that point easily on a stage. So that's why I've had to compromise with using a 4-track live. I think you just have to know where your limitations are. At this point where I'm at now, I don't perform with drums. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that at this point. And I hope that might change because it is a very strong limit to not be able to have a rhythmic element when you play live. I guess it works for me because I'm still ambient, experimental, electronic. It's a pretty big limitation, not tap drums. So I like to get around that at some point. For now, I'm aware of what my limitations are. So I think that's really important to know before you get into performing is what are your limitations? What equipment can you afford to bring your set to life? You know, even space limitations. I play in really small spaces and so my setup has to be simple so that I don't show up with like a huge table that won't even fit on the stage, you know? That's part of it too. You know, a lot of times when you start playing live, you have 30 minutes to play live. You have 30 minutes maybe to get all your shit on stage and do a sound check, and then you have to start playing live. If your setup gets really involved and you have to like spend 20 minutes tuning your modular synth or whatever, like it can get too complicated and it might throw your whole live set off. So you have to like restrict yourself, and it can be not as fun as just having the freedom to do whatever you want at home. Yeah, that's where I've landed with playing live. I'm open to advice, honestly. Anyways, this concludes our Q&A for today. Thank you for asking such thoughtful questions, and thank you for subscribing. As far as updates go, there's not much going on in my sphere. I did have a show that I was supposed to play, but then the bar got shut down by the city, so unfortunately I don't have that to look forward to anymore. I am hoping to get more shows lined up and to hopefully record the process of preparing for a show like that. I'm also in the process of trying to figure out how to release an album that I'm finished. I just need to figure out like what the process of releasing that will be like for this fall, hopefully. And other than that, I'm definitely more in like an absorbing part of my life right now. I'm trying to be consistent with this channel, but I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to keep up with posting once a week. I do have a job and stuff, and I don't always like being at like the center of attention or feel like I have much to say. So I think I'm just trying to listen to that organic inner voice, and like sometimes I feel inspired to share my thoughts on here. Sometimes I want to absorb things and listen to music and watch stuff and be alone with my thoughts. So I'm trying to ebb and flow in a natural way, but I'm hoping to build a community on here. I'm hoping that this stays a fruitful and creative and exciting place to be. I'm just not sure where it's going right now. So thank you for being along for the ride. I hope you stay. And yeah, I hope you have a beautiful evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are. Bye.